Krishna.
No problem. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we are exactly in the middle. 9th chapter is the middle. Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters and 9th chapter is right at the middle. So can anyone tell me the name of the chapter? As usual, I'll stand it. Yes. So it is basically called the most confidential knowledge. And we will see why it is called the most confidential knowledge shortly. And one more thing there, I always tell the statement standard, right? So any book you do, whether it's physics or chemistry or maths, there is nowhere they would say that just read this book, that is enough, right? Maybe for a particular standard that may be enough, but no point in time, anytime the book, they would say that you just read this book. It will always say references, right? It will say refer to this or refer to that, and it will go on. So this today's chapter where Krishna will be telling that this is the ultimate book. So this book is like, this particular chapter is like love letter, right? So it's a very beautiful chapter where Krishna is literally writing a love letter to all, right? To all of us. And it's personal. It's written to each one of us where he's addressing, telling that these, basically he's giving the most confidential knowledge, which is called Guhya. So basically the most confidential knowledge is to reach Krishna, right? And how to reach Krishna and all, we're all in short note, but here it's going to be more direct. Before we get into the chapter, I am going to start off with Mangalacharan. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimra Andasya Jnananjala Chalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swapadatikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopeshu Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpa Darubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivatsadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All of you, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama, Hare
Rama
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama Rama,
Rama
Hare Hare.
Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. So, yes, so now let's dive into the chapter. This particular chapter, yes, always is blank. Just one second. Meanwhile, did anyone have time or chance to read any of the chapters? Did you all have any doubts so far?
No, Mataji, no doubts.
No doubts. Okay, and anyone started chanting in this group? Because we are in the middle of the chapter. So I would like to know if any of you all just started chanting.
Yes, Mataji.
You've done? Okay. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Right, so let me just start off with the presentation. So this chapter, as you all rightly said, is Raja Guhya Yoga. Raja means obviously king, and Guhya means confidential, and Yoga means connecting to God, knowledge, right? So the most confidential knowledge is what is discussed here, and let's pay our obeisances to Shishi Radha Govinda, the deities of ISKCON, Mangaluru. So the 8th chapter is a bridge between 7th and 9th. 7th and 9th are very similar, right? 7th and 9th talks about qualities and qualifications for reaching Krishna. Whereas 8th chapter just is like a tangent, right? So the 8th chapter has 8 questions asked by Arjuna, and these are the questions, right? So what are the questions? How do you antakale, right? How do you remember at the time of death? And also he is talking about mixed bhakti. Yoga Mishra means bhakti mixed with karma, which is work, or bhakti mixed with jnana, which is knowledge, right? So it says Om iti ekaksharam Brahma, ekaksharam, one word, right? So the beginning. And he's also talking about the pure bhakti, where people understand dukalayam ashashvatam, and therefore we need to reach the fifth one, which it says that spiritual world, and it compares the spiritual world and the material world. Paras tasmatu bhavo neo. So once you reach, it's, we saw, right, this can be annihilated, whereas spiritual world is permanent, nothing happens, and lifespan of Brahma and all that. So now anybody remembers the lifespan of Brahma? Here, anybody remembers the lifespan of Brahma? Hare Krishna. Does anyone remember? You can try. So Brahma also lives 100 years, but in our terms, Brahma's lifespan is 311.04 trillion years. So that's the life of Brahma. So 9th chapter is broadly 3. Aishwarya means opulences, right? So Bhagavat Aishwarya Jnana, which is 9:1 to 10. So it starts off with Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam, right? So that's the thing. And second one is the ways to approach Krishna. How we approach Krishna. Satatam Kirtayanto Ma. That's how you approach Krishna. And sweetness of executing devotion. 26 to 34. Manmana Bhava Mat Bhaktu. How do we? So basically, it's just not the destination, but the journey itself is sweet. That is why all of you, if you see, while you're in the concept of understanding, but the journey is so sweet. That's why you are coming in time. You in fact log in before I come, and you all are waiting, and because the entire devotion itself is very sweet. So as usual, one of you all please go ahead and raise your hand, and I'll start off. Hare Krishna. Shri Bhagavan Vacha idam tu te guhya tamam pravakshyami anasuyave jnanam vijnana sahitam yajñatva mokshyase subhat. Yes, Google. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, we cannot see the slide.
Not able to see the slide? Just one second. Can you see me?
Yes, Mataji, we can see you.
Okay, so let me just see what you can.
Slide.
Are you able to see the slide?
Yeah, now with
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, I've cut off the video so it will be clearer. So you can do the translation part.
The Supreme Lord said, "My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most secret wisdom, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence." Hare Krishna.
we are not able to hear you, Mataji.
Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. So the Supreme Lord said, right? So the very important quality which is coming up here in this chapter is Anusuyave. So in the second chapter, Krishna allows Arjuna to be his dash and dash. Two qualities of Krishna makes him very dear to him. What are the two qualities? Can anyone
That
tell?
he is non-envious and faithful.
Exactly. So he's non-envious and he is faithful. Okay, that's nice. That's coming up here. But in the second chapter, the envious is not spoken. Yes, Anusuyave means non-envious, which is discussed here. But is there anything else which is spoken?
He is the friend of Krishna.
Exactly. So that's a beautiful point. So the first point is, yes, he's a friend of Krishna. Besides that, is there anything else which is spoken of, which is highlighted? Friend is one point. Another one, Saki and
He is a great devotee of Krishna.
absolutely. So he's not just a friend, but he's a very big devotee of Krishna. So he says that he's not only a friend, but he is a devotee of Krishna. So that is why he says so these Anusuyave is coming only now. And this is a very important point which you should understand, because here is when you will get to know about how glorious Krishna is, and that this is a very important knowledge, right? So 9.2 Hare Krishna. Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyaksha Gamamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartum Avyayam. Hare Krishna. Yeah, please go ahead, Divya.
Hare Krishna. This knowledge is the king This knowledge is the king of the education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge because it gives direct perception of the self by realization. It is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. Hare Krishna.
Point here is very important. But what is very, very important in this is that it is the king of knowledge, right? So it is called, king of education and is the biggest secret. Okay. So it's a secrets, and what it says is direct perception. So you can directly perceive this and it is everlasting. Yes. How is it everlasting? So anything, which you read, right, keeps going in, right? Like, for example, music. I think I don't know too much, but whatever I know, Justin Bieber was on the highlight. Then Shawn Mendes came, and now I think there are a whole lot of people. But if you take, your parents' times, right, they will be talking about Michael Jackson. But over period, all this goes, right? Whatever you call it fashion or you call it fit, it keeps changing. But whereas if you talk about this Bhagavad Gita was spoken at least to Arjuna 5,000 years back, but to Sun God we saw it was spoken all so many years ago, right? In spite of that, we notice that it is ever youthful. It is not lost its, it's everlasting and it is eternal, right? So that's the beauty. Jesse. So it is the perfection of religion, right? Because you will reach. Now there is 9 process of devotional service. So what is this? So we will all start with Shravanam. That's the beginning of the 9th chapter, and that's the most important point. So the 9th chapter talks about the qualification. What is the qualification to become a devotee? Just here, right? Just here. There is no other university which says just here, come to my class, you will become a doctor. No. But here to become a devotee, Shravanam, and example is Parikshit. Parikshit Maharaj just was sitting and listening to Srimad Bhagavatam for 7 days continuously, day and night, without drinking a drop of water. And he was telling that I assumed that I was fasting, but then, oh my Krishna, I said I'll be fasting, but now I'm enjoying the nectarian. I'm tasting the nectar, right? So he says it's so nectarian, which is very true. Bhagavatam is so nectarian that once you start, I can't read books. The only book I read was someone had given me a Nancy Rule, and I read, that's the only book. And that was when I was very little. And after that, I have not read any book at all, except your study books or management books. But for me, Srimad Bhagavatam, not a day goes without me reading that. So it's so addictive. And Kirtanam, all of you all are already doing in the class. Shmaranam is constantly thinking, and Haridas Thakur is an example of Smaranam. Now, Pada Sevanam, can anyone tell who's an example of Pada Sevanam?
Lakshmi.
Yes, Lakshmi Ma is the example, right? So constantly doing that. Archanam is worship, right? You pray. Prithu Maharaj was known for that. He was worshipping the God. And Vandanam is offering prayers, right? So you pray, and Dhruva is, offered prayers. And Dasyam is nobody can, now Dasyam, you should tell me, not from the photo, but I think everybody will tell this answer correctly. Who is example of Dasyam in the servitor attitude?
Shri Hanumanji.
Yeah, I think nobody can miss Hanumanji. And Sakyam is obviously Arjuna, because that's what we're talking about. And finally, Atma Nivedanam, that's the final stage, right? So this is a picture of Sanatana Goswami, and that's Chaitanya. Might be a little difficult, that's why I said completely surrender. So there was one person who has all the 9. You don't have to do all 9, but we'll try and do everything, because we can't do one completely. For example, can we sit like Parikshit? Now, if my class goes beyond 4 p.m., I'll see many people exiting the Zoom, right? So we can't sit for so long. 1 hour is a stretch. Now he's been sitting 7. So we are not great in one completely. So we will do a little bit of everything, right? So that's the focus. And one person who did all of that is Amrish Maharaj. I'll tell you the story in that shortly. Hare Krishna. So we'll move to 9.3. Ashraddha Purusha Dharmasyasya Parantapa Aprapya Mam Nivartante Mrityu Samsara Vartaman. Hare Krishna.
Those
Hare
who
Krishna.
are faithful.
Hare Krishna, yeah.
Those who are not faithful on the path of the devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of the foes, but return to the birth and death in this material world.
Hare Krishna. So those who are faithful and on the path of devotional service cannot, not faithful, right? So faithful is what we saw is very important. So somebody who is not faithful, not trustworthy, they will never be able to be. Why? People keep telling, no, was Krishna there? Really, is he God? Right. So obviously, if Krishna comes before us itself, whom we call ourselves faithful, itself is not there. Then imagine if Krishna appears for them, what will happen? He's not going to trust, right? So he says, "Oh, conqueror of foes, but return to the birth and death in this material world." Right. So you will return to birth and death in this particular material world itself. So he'll come back again and again. So he is not someone whom you can go about with. So 9.4 is very, very nice. Yes, you can go ahead and read. Hare Krishna.
By
By
me
me,
in my By me in my unmanifested form, the entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them.
Hare Krishna. So this is a very beautiful and a very tricky verse. So he's saying that entire world, right, is pervaded. So he has pervaded this entire universe, and he is basically there. Literally everybody is within him, right? Because in the Vishnu Rupa, Vishnu, when he is there as the Mahavishnu, the entire universe is coming out of his pores, right? And even though he is working as Shiro Dakshai Vishnu, but he is not in them. Example is, if you're talking about Tata Birla, right? His brand is there, but the CEO personally does not go and sit with them, right? So likewise, Krishna is giving us complete freedom to do what he wants. So he's only Upadrishta and Anumanta, and he is not technically sitting with them or sitting through them and breathing through our necks, right? So that is why, even though the whole world is inside him, he is independent of our actions, and he is independent of that. 9.5. Hare Krishna.
and yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, still myself is the very source of creation.
We all
And
know Krishna is the creator. Thank you so much. Very nicely, you all are reading, and coordination is also nice. So, everybody, you know that he's a maintainer, everything rests in him. He's a super controller, everything we know. But as I just said, right, everything he created, but nothing, it's not that they all rest on. It's not like everything is dependent on him. We are all given limited amount of independence to act on our own. So it is not that he controls all actions. He gives sanction, but it's all done by us. Now he's going to explain more of that. Next, 9.6. Hare Krishna.
as the mighty wind blowing everywhere always rests in ethereal space, know that in the same manner all beings rest in me.
So, the wind is so huge, right, in the sky. But if you see, it has a particular area. It's not that the wind is so powerful. In Singapore, the Toronto breeze is so high that it can really shift the buses, right? But same way, this wind is not going to, it's confined area, right? It's within the space. It doesn't go beyond that space, right? In the same manner, all the human beings rest in him. So we're all confined within the space of Krishna. 9.8. Hare Krishna.
The whole cosmic order is under me. By my will, it is manifested again and again, and by my will, it is annihilated at the end.
Krishna. So he's very beautifully saying that the entire cosmic order, right, the cosmic world is manufactured again and again. It is maintained by, manifested by him, and again it's destroyed also because of him. It's everything done by Krishna only. 9.9. Hare Krishna.
O Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am detached, seated as though neutral.
So Krishna does not report to Maya. Maya reports to him, right? So we have this Vishnu tattvas, right? Vishnu Mayas. So there are two Mayas, which are, one is his internal potency Maya, which is a Yoga Maya, and his external potency Maya, which is our Maha Maya, which we are all bound, right? So Maya reports to Krishna. So therefore, there's nothing which binds him. He's always detached, and therefore he takes a neutral stand. So so he's independent, he's neutral, he's the creator, he annihilates and he manifests again and again. Everything is done because of his order. So every one of us are inside him only, but it doesn't mean that he is driving us, like he is giving us freedom to work on that. Hare Krishna. Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sacharam hetuna nena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. Hare Krishna. Sorry.
This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kanti, and it is producing all moving and unmoving beings. By its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Hare
So he
Krishna.
says this material nature, right, is only working under my direction. So, which we already saw, right? Maya reports to Krishna. So, and again the same thing only. Whether Shara Akshara means moving and non-moving, both are created and annihilated by me only. But what is happening? This is known to intelligent people, but fools won't know this, right? Because they will create their own story. What is the story they are creating? They are telling that Krishna has come in a human form. And let's see what he's saying. Hare Krishna. Avajananti Mamuda Manushim Tanum Ashritam Param Bhavam Ajananto Mama Bhuta Maheshwaram. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be.
So he says fools actually they think that I come in a human form, but actually it is Krishna's form. Yes, it's human-like form, but it is not like us, material body. But many fools think that, and so he says that so they don't know his potential, right? That he's God and all that. 9.12 Hare Krishna. Mogesha Moga Karmano Moganyana Vichetashaha Rakshashim Ashurim Chaiva Prakritim Mohimim Shritaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Those who are thus bewildered are attached by demonic and aesthetic views, atheistic views. In the deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated.
So very clearly he says that those who are thus bewildered, right? So for example, if you see the previous word, you have two ashram. Ashritam means another ashram, right? Manushim, somebody who think of me as man. Here if you see Rakshashim ashram, so somebody who takes the shelter of the Rakshasas, right? So somebody who has demonic, they are the Rakshasas, right? So Rakshasa doesn't mean, have horn, I look very ugly. No, you can look very good looking also, but your heart can be dirty. In that condition, right, in the hope for liberation, fruitive activities, the culture of knowledge are all totally defeated. Totally defeated. So they are completely defeated and they don't know, bewildered what to do. Mahatmanastu mam partha devim prakritim ashritah. See here you can see devim prakritim ashritah. There we saw ashram, right? Bhajantananya manasho myatva bhutadim avyayam. Hare Krishna.
O son
O
of
son of
Partha,
Partha,
those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So they very clearly tell that, son of Partha, those who are not deluded, right? The great souls under the protection of the divine nature, they are fully engaged in devotional service. Because so Mahatma is what? Mahatma are those who are Dhiras, we saw, right? So this is the picture of Madhavendra Puri. I'll tell you the story in a minute. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as Supreme Person. Now, example is, I'm going to tell the story of Madhavendra Puri. So he is Madhavendra Puri, in fact, in our parampara. He's the super guru's guru of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, what happens? This blue color boy, anybody can guess who is he? Anybody can guess who?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Krishna.
Krishna. Golden boy only is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is blue color boy is our Krishna. So what happens is, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will come afterwards. This is during the Dwapara Yuga. And what exactly happens is, during them, Madhavendra Puri, we all know the beliefs of the sannyasis, right? They will not go and work, or they will not take money. Anything comes their way, they will accept. So like that, he is just accepting the food, whatever comes, right? So he goes to village and they don't stay in one place. In fact, they won't even stay under a tree beyond the night because they feel they will get addicted. So what happens in that process is they will be moving from one tree to another. Like that, he comes to this forest, and in that small village, he is under this tree for that night, but he never gets food and he never makes an attempt. See, Madhavendra Puri is so exalted that if he doesn't get food, he will not bother. He'll just go. He will starve, but he will not go and ask anyone. So that time we have this boy called Gopal, and he gives milk. He says, Baba, there is milk and my mom told me to have. He says, how does your mom know me? And but he says, I don't know, Baba, but everything I want to tell you is anyone who comes to my village, they are not supposed to starve. So please have milk, but keep the pot safe, right? Because Mama will scold me if I don't return the pot and I'm going to hurt the cows. So Madhavendra Puri, after drinking, he washes and keeps it safe. But typical of them, right? Unlike us, some child told we will put it off in one corner. And as he's waiting and he's chanting, he dozes off. And in his sleep, he sees the small boy telling, Baba, Baba, help me, help me. And he's rushing into the forest. I'm stuck here, and he's getting caught in the forest. And he also sees the picture of a very nice Krishna deity. And then he sees this boy going inside the tree and disappearing. So the next day morning, that is when Madhavendra Puri understands he is really God. He takes the entire villages and they all go in an axe. It's a huge chapter in Bhagavatam. And they cut and they enter the place and they see. And what has happened is there was a temple of Krishna, Gopinath, and he had, during the Mughal time, just to preserve the temple, the head pujari has hidden the god inside the tree. And after many days, the tree was got enclosed and all that. And he appears and tells Madhavendra Puri to save him. In fact, the deity was there, which came in the dream, and he actually went and, actually he became the head of priest for them. And he continuously did this. Has just two parts. This is the first part. Second part, I will tell on one of these days, as usual. So, such people are called Mahatmas, and we see one more Mahatma, Prabhupada, because he at the age of 69, he started, in Jaladuda, right, to US with 40 rupees. So you can imagine, I don't know, like there was one day I called my friend and I'd forgotten my wallet. So I said, hey, you have money? She said, yeah, but what about you? She said, do you need something? I said, no, I think I'll manage because I'm going to go home. She said, how can you be so relaxed without money? I cannot even think of one day, if I forget my wallet or if I don't have money in my pocket, I just can't even breathe. So just imagine, this is what most of us feel. And imagine somebody like Prabhupada going to US in a cargo ship with just 40 Indian rupees, right? That's very less even in those days. So 9.14, Hare Krishna. Satatam kirtayam tomam yatantasya dhridavritah namasyantasya mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Always chanting my glories and delivering with a great determination, bowing down before me, this great soul perpetuality, worship me with devotion.
Very clearly, always chanting. There are four things they do. They say that they always worship me, they chant my glories. With determination, they endeavor, they bow down before me and they perpetually worship. So 9.17, Hare Krishna. Pita hammasya jagato mata data pitamaha vedam pavitram omkara riksamaya jur evacha. Hare Krishna.
I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am also the Arke, the Sama, and the Yajur Veda.
Yes, Rig Veda. We know the four Vedas, no? Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda. Right? So Atharvana Veda. So the four. So he says that he is the same and he's the father of the universe, as well as the mother, right? And the grandsire. And he says he's the object of knowledge. So he's going to tell this in the 15th chapter also. Sarvasya chaham iti sannivisto smriti jnana apoyam sa vedeshu sarveshu apoyam sa vedanta vedavit eva chaham, which means that I give the memory. We'll come to the 15th chapter, that time we'll all chant. But I'm the one who gives the memory and I'm the one who gives the intelligence. And that is what he's saying. I'm the object of knowledge, right? And the purifier and the syllable Om. So we already saw in the 7th chapter, right? Om is Omkara and everything starts with Om, right? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Bhurbhuva, Om, like Suklam Bharadaram, everything comes. And he says he is also in the Vedic mantras, right? He is the one. And 9.18, Hare Krishna.
I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place, and the eternal seed.
So he says very clearly that he is the goal, he is the sustainer, the master, witness, everything is Krishna. Right? He creates and he annihilates and he is the eternal father. 9.19.
O Arjuna, I control heat, the rain, and the drought. I am immortality, and I am also death personified,
So
both
this is very
clean
weird. No,
and
he's telling
non-being.
immortality and death personified. How? Yes, he is immortality, right? So he gave long life, whoever is with Krishna. And he controls heat, rain, everything. And death personified, for people, for the devotees, he becomes, devotees are not bothered, right? He makes him immortal. But you think of non-devotee, think of Kamsa or whoever, Putana. So he's death personified, right? So he's like, they all meet, the non-devotees see him at the time of death. But it will be too late, but nevertheless at the time of death. Hare Krishna. Yes, 9.20.
Those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. They take birth on planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights.
So he says those who drink the Veda, the Soma juice, they go to heaven. Right? Indirectly worship me, and they come to the planet of Indra. Right? Indra is Swargaloka. So that is what they are talking about. And what happens when the credits goes, that's what he's going to tell in 921, that they will come back to the earth because it's like your visa. Once your visa expires, you have to come back, right? So that's what he's saying in 9.21. Hare Krishna.
When they have thus enjoyed heavenly sense, pleasure, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, through the Vedic principles, they achieve only flickering happiness.
Yeah, so that's the story. 9.22, very, very important shloka, very meaningful. Ananya sintayanto mam ye jana paryupashate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Hare Krishna.
But those who worship me with devotion, meditating on my transcendental form to them, I carry what they lack and preserve what they have.
How beautiful, right? So he says, for anyone who is worshipping me with devotion, I will give them what they lack and I will preserve whatever they have. So beautiful, because that means Krishna, if we don't have, he will give. And whatever we already have, he will only secure them. Hare Krishna. Yepi anya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajanta vitti purvakam. Hare Krishna.
Whatever a man may sacrifice to other gods, O son of Kunti, is really meant for me alone, but it is offered without true understanding.
Avidhi Purvakam. Vidhi means knowledgeable. Avidhi, opposite of Vidhi, right? Lack of knowledge. So without lack of proper understanding, many of them who do for demigods eventually take our approval, right? So they go back to Krishna. It's a very interesting one, 9.25. Yati deva vrata devan pritriyanti pritrivrata bhutani yanti bhutenya yanti madhyaji no pishma. Hare Krishna.
Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take among such beings. Those who worship ancestors will go to the ancestors.
I like the way
And
you're reading.
those who worship me will live with me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, I love the way you gave the ghostly effect when you said ghost. Thank you so much. So he says that those who worship the demigod, right, actually are supposed to be in the mode of goodness, but obviously they'll go to Devaloka. They can't go to Goloka. And like Singapore, you buy a ticket, you will go to Singapore. You will not go to Switzerland. Same way. And those who worship ghosts, right, ghost worshippers are there, and spirits, they will be in that Pitraloka, wherever the ghosts are there. And those who worship the ancestors, that's only Pitraloka. And those who, so typically, there are some people who will be worshipping the politicians. Right. I also saw there is one of the youths told me that there is a temple for Amitabh Bachchan. And there is another, which I know, is there is a temple for actors called Pushpa. So these are all not the right thing. And other one is the black magic and all that, which was shown there. So now the next one is again an important sloka, which talks about the menu card, what Krishna likes. Hare Krishna. Patram pushpam palam toyam yomai bhaktya prayachyati tadaham bhakti upahrityam ashnami prayathatmanah. Hare Krishna.
If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it.
So he says very clearly, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam, right? Fruit, flower, leaf, or even water. Yome Bhaktya Prasati, with devotion. That's important, not just that. Tadaham Bhakti Upahritam, right? That one I will definitely, accept it, right? Prayatman, right? So I will definitely accept it because the person, because he sees only the love. So that is very important, is what he says. And so for people who say, Krishna, where is he told you should eat this? Where is he? No, he's given very clearly his menu card. 9.27. Yat karoshi yat ashnasi, yat juhoshi dadashi yat, tat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. Hare Krishna.
O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as the austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering unto me.
So he very clearly says, whatever you eat, whatever you do, whatever, everything you do, you should first offer to Krishna. So when you do food abhishekam also, right? We used to think, oh, we are giving, we are so good, correct, but offer it as prasad and then give to Krishna. Then it will get purified. Hare Krishna. Samo aham sarva bhuteshu name dveshvasti na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam patya mahi te teshu chapyaham. Hare Krishna.
I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and
Hare
I
Krishna.
also a friend to him.
So very clearly he says that I am not envious nor am I partial, but whoever renders service to me, I will obviously take care of them as a dear friend, right? And I am his friend, he is also my friend. So very clearly Krishna is telling he won't be partial, but he will definitely focus on devotee. He is giving that guarantee here, right? So he is going to focus on his devotees. So he very clearly says that. Hare Krishna. Api set sudduracharo Bhajante mam ananyaba sadhureva shamantavya samyak vyapasito hi saha. Hare Krishna. This one is Jagai Magai, a story of Krishna who is appearing as Chaitanya, and the one in blue is 12 years older than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Nityananda, who is Balram, and he, I think I told you all the story, right? So they actually hurt Nityananda, and Nityananda head is bleeding. And he got very angry and he wanted to pull the Sudarshan Chakra. And immediately he stops. He says, don't do that because we have to give them Nam. And they can get converted. They become, Jagai, it becomes what is it? Jaggi Goswami or something. So he changes and they become very good. 9.31. Shipram bhavati dharmatma shashvakchantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanti name bhakta pranasyati. Hare Krishna.
He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes.
Krishna is giving the guarantee. So declare boldly that my devotee at any point in time will not perish. 9.34, very important again, repeats itself in 18th chapter again. Hare Krishna. Manmana bhava mat bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi yuktaivam atmanam mat parayana. Hare Krishna.
Engage your mind always in thinking of me. Offer obeisances and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me.
So Krishna is telling that, right? So all you need to do is engage your mind, always think of me, worship me. And by doing so, what will happen? Sure, short, you will come to me. That's what Krishna is giving guarantees. Nobody gives so much guarantee. Krishna is. Basically, this chapter is divided into three, but very strong chapter. It's called the most confidential knowledge, which is called the king of all knowledges. And there's a separate book called the Raja Vidya in Vedabase. You can read that. It's called Bhagavat Aishwarya Nanam, which is the Aishwarya means the all the riches of the God. Way to approach Krishna. We saw all the time how you can approach Krishna, and sweetness of devotion. It's not the destiny, but destination, but the journey itself is very sweet. So the most confidential knowledge is that I am not devotee and I will serve Krishna. That's the confidential knowledge. Most confidential knowledge. And with this, we'll end the chapter. Any doubts you can ask me and I'll tell the prayers. Kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanan pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. All of you, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
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 Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare.
Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. Any doubts?
No, Mataji.
Thank you so much. No problem. Is there anybody who's going to chant? We can chant today. We almost, it will be correct. If we chant by then, it will be 4. Tomorrow I'll do a bridge, and if time permits, story too. Is there anybody who would like to chant today? Gayatri, would you like to chant?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, thank you so much, dear. Yeah, go ahead. So today is what, 9 days. So how many times will you chant?
54 times, Mataji.
Strong team. Hare Krishna. Yes, I'll stop the recording. Just 1 second. Hare Krishna. All of you, Hare Krishna.